And they were able to come together and do this, and we finally have this opportunity now. Like, I think one of the big contributions of the software industry to the world is Agile. Is this part where we can work together in heterogeneous teams where it's not a common practice, it's not a common job that we have, it's a common goal, like the Camerata had. And then it goes even farther. Whoa, don't touch that, Jess. Okay. There's something even more surprising to me in this paper, and that was that the Renaissance brought the recognition of art with a capital A. That in the 13th, 14th centuries here, painters, musicians, writers, court poets, these weren't artists, they were just tradespeople. Painters apprenticed with painters. And the guilds made sure that if you hired a painter, you got someone who could produce a reasonable facsimile of the thing you asked them to paint. And musicians, they apprenticed under musicians, and you learned to play the lute, and if you hired a musician, you were sure they were a competent lute player. But that's what you got, was competence, and they only painted what you asked them to paint. And then later in the Renaissance, someone starts to recognize that there's an individual component that maybe if we let people who are not in the guilds, and you get into the guilds by having a father who's in the guild, talent has little to do with it. Maybe if we let anyone who wants to be an artist declare themselves an artist, well, we're going to have to demand proof of proficiency. We're not going to get a computer science degree every time. But we're also going to allow specialization and individual distinction. So we move from technical proficiency to artistic creativity, because people finally recognize that there's something about music, drama, poetry, sculpting, painting, that certain people, when they do it, produce something bigger than paint on a canvas. They produce something that has an impact on us, an impact on the audience, that's bigger than just pretty. Art with a capital A. And it blew my mind that art wasn't always a thing. That it was only in the Renaissance, and maybe they had it back in the Greek times and lost it, but it was only in the Renaissance that our culture developed this appreciation for art, and developed art theory and art history, and just this idea that maybe there's something growing inside us as humans that's more than the technical output our hands can produce. And then I thought, oh, yeah, that it relates to the heterogeneous circles too, because it's not just developers who create software, right? It's our designers, it's our coaches, it's our product owners, it's our business people. We all have to get together. And when we do that, we can produce something bigger than typed words on the screen. Right? Programming is not typing any more than Picasso was just applying paint to canvas. And now that we can learn, we don't learn just from painters, we learn from each other, right? So Java is like acrylic paint. Haskell is like carving marble. These are not what we produce, they're just mediums that we use in order to produce software that has a major impact on the world. I mean, we have a big impact on the world. We change people's robot brains, we move people's capabilities out of their heads, and we totally change people's lives. And we change their incentives and how they act based on what we can make easy for them using software. You know, people used to send out Christmas cards to 100 people every year. Now, you send a photo to 1,000 people 2 times a day. It's totally different. The world is different because of what we can create. But we create it in a group. It's not just something one human can create anymore either. So that's why I'm quite certain that software is not a craft. It is not a craft. You don't apprentice a Java developer to a Java developer and get Facebook. That's not how it works. We have to think bigger, and we do. We have to create the semathesy that is us and our software, and it's part of a bigger semathesy that is our whole organization with multiple software teams, and we can create something so much more important and impactful on our audience. Just like an artist, when Picasso creates a painting, it has an impact on the people who view it at a smaller scale than we can have. So I'm not saying that software is art, because it's not. We have more direct methods of connecting with people, of changing their worlds, and it's not just about individual expression. That's why we need the business people in the room talking about how we can really impact the world and what will really be useful. So software is not an art. What I'm saying is it's bigger than art. What we do when we create a software system is the practice of semathesy. All of us on the mob, in the team, in the organization, are living in a system that we're also creating, and that system creates new things in the outside world. So software is not art. I'm saying that software is the next thing after art. That the era we live in and participate in it's not the Renaissance. It's the next thing after the Renaissance. We have that big a difference with this medium of software that has never existed before. It's more moldable than plastic, and it's stronger than metal, and we can impact dozens more people or hundreds of millions more people just by spinning up another EC2 instance. It's bigger than a painting, and yet it changes the world and moves the world forward. So I'm pretty excited to be alive right now. And if software development is the practice of semathesy, like serious senior agile software development is the practice of semathesy, then that makes me a semathicist in the medium of software. The only thing I don't like about this idea is that it has my name on it. Because an idea isn't about one person. It takes all of us. Mendel he experimented with his bean plants, and he figured out the quantization of inheritance, but no one knew about it until William Bateson, Nora's grandfather, named it genetics and pushed it forward in the biology community. And he didn't do that alone. His wife and a bunch of other women worked in his lab because the scientists were like, that's not real biology. It takes a group. And everyone who moves an idea forward is part of that idea. So today I am part of Nora Bateson's semathesy idea. And when you go home, or not even home, you'll talk to each other in a few minutes. And when you participate in the camerata that is this mob programming community, and when you go home and you participate in your team or your meetups or whatever it is, you are taking semathesy forward. And you are part of it, because we don't do this by ourselves. We do this in our constantly shifting mobs, in our camaradas. So thank you for listening. Go forward and semathesize.
We have time to do the previews now, unless people want to ask some questions.
Oh, questions. Yeah, are there any questions? I'll be around all day, and I hope you'll come talk to me and tell me what art medium you think your favorite programming language is. We decided mob programming is like jazz the other day. Okay, so should the moderators come up?
Yeah, let's have them up.
I was gonna do a mob right after this, but I put all the prep into the keynote, so mine is actually gonna be this afternoon.
Thanks so much. That's great.
Thank you, Nancy.
It's